ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Star Wars Outlaws. Now, it took me about 40 hours to complete the main storyline of this game, which also included a couple of side missions and a lot of card games that I ended up playing in this game. Now, before we get into the full review, I want to start the review with a first impression on Star Wars Outlaws. Now, the first impression, when Ubisoft sent me the code last week, I'm going to be dead honest with you guys, I had absolutely no expectations set for this game. I was really ready to get myself disappointed when I tried this game out. Because obviously when it comes to Ubisoft, I'm very skeptical. But I've got to say, man, Star Wars Outlaws, it exceeded all the expectations that I had set myself up to. Now, I'm not going to be speaking about all the spoiler stuff and basically just spoiling the game for you guys. I'm rather going to be speaking about all the main aspect of the game, which all of us gamers will really look forward to when purchasing a new game. Or even if you already purchased and you're going to be playing it, you of course want to know what kind of a game are you getting yourself into. Now, the first thing I want to talk about is the open world aspect. Now, as we know, that Star Wars has never really created an open world game before, and this is like the very first time that Lucasfilm decided to collaborate with massive studios, and they have now finally got in a Star Wars game that is set in a full-on open world experience. And speaking of the open world, we of course need to speak about the exploration part. And what does it feel like to explore all of these different planets that's available inside this massive open world? Now, first off, you get to travel across, I think, 4 to 5 planets in this game, and all of the planets that you travel throughout your entire storyline is going to be completely unique in its own ways. It kind of looks like this massive obsidian city, and every single planet and structures and all the interiors of the buildings that you're going to walk into, you'll kind of feel the complete Star Wars vibe throughout the entire atmosphere. Now, I'm being very specific when it comes to all of these environmental designs, because every single building that you enter inside, from casinos to restaurants to bars and also into some of these gang territories and residential areas, every single area in the game has been split up to have its own unique styles, and each planet you go to, these areas are going to look so freaking different. And that's one thing that kind of just caught my attention in order to go ahead and explore the world. Because playing this game on a 55-inch and getting a full-on experience of you living in a Star Wars planet, Massive Entertainment has definitely managed to capture of how a Star Wars environment is supposed to be created. Now, if you're a fan of the movies, then you'd probably know that the environment looks exactly the same as what was shown in the movies. So it feels like the game just takes you around movie cinematic universe. Now, also one of the most important things that you gotta notice is that Ubisoft and Massive Studios, they've used the same engine that they've already used for Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora, which means the flora and fauna, the vegetation in the game, the wildlife in the game, it looks absolutely fantastic. The waters look fantastic, especially when you're using your drifter in order to just boost around and explore the world. You can even hover this bike over on the water, and exploring the wildlife in terms of how beautiful the environment looks in the sound design and all the atmospheric ambience that the game has created. It just gives you this whole new set of peace in order to just go ahead and feel good to simply just explore this massive open world. And now let's talk about the side quest and the characters that's available in the game, because now we're speaking about the open world. We of course know that open world is going to have a lot of activities that you can do, and to be honest with you guys, I did not expect Ubisoft, being one of the developers who are really bad when it comes to all the open world activities in Assassin's Creed games, because they always have this repetitive stuff. But in Star Wars Outlaws, I just felt like all the activities that you could do in this open world, it just felt so entertaining, and every single side missions and activities that I did in this game, it just caught my attention to the core that I really wanted to keep playing the game for hours and hours together. And that's the reason why I basically took 40 hours in order to complete the entire storyline of this game. So I was basically just binging all day long into Star Wars Outlaws. Now, when you explore the open world or the environment, you'll actually see some very realistic animations that Massive Entertainment has put a lot of work into. In one of the scenes you can actually take a look at, I was just walking around in one of the kitchens and restaurant, and what I noticed is that this character is basically cutting the meat. And as he cuts the meat, the individual chunk of the meat is just divided on its own. And I understand it's a very small detail to notice, but still it kind of just gives you an expectation as to how detailed all the environments and everything has been put together by Massive Entertainment. And this is something I really enjoyed, to simply just stand back and look at what the NPCs are doing. And some of these conversations informations all of these NPCs randomly have is basically about your past missions. So let's say, for example, you took out one of the bases of Imperials, and that information is going to spread across all the different planets. So you'll basically just come across one of the random NPCs, and they will end up speaking about what happened in the Imperial base, and someone actually infiltrated, and you'll hear a lot of rumors, and some things were true and some things were just over exaggerated. And it's kind of just very funny in order to just go ahead and sit down and listen to what these NPCs really have to talk about. And these random encounters, it just makes the game so much better than any other Ubisoft games that I've played before, and I think they've done some incredible job here. And also the best part is that this game actually has so many mini games that you can try, and mini games are going to be like a huge part of this game. And it seems like I have absolutely fallen in love with the new Sabak, which is basically a card game inside of Star Wars Outlaws, where Sabak is basically this card game which allows you to collect all these ability cards around the world, and these ability cards are absolutely fun to use. And if you want to make some credits in order to purchase some of the items inside the world, like outfits or weapon customization modules, and also if you want to customize your spaceship and all that stuff, you'll basically need a lots and lots of credits. And the best way to get all of these credits is to just go ahead and gamble your money and try to win as much as you possibly can. Now, there are so many mini games in which you can place bets and gamble your way into becoming one of the richest outlaws out there in the world. Now, there are casinos in the game where you can bet on digital horse racing. And at first, I kind of had a suspicion that these horse races might be rigged because it's completely digital. Who knows what's going on and who might be the winner? So nothing in the horse race is fair and square, but it seems like the winning horse is basically selected by the gang syndicates. And as you explore the open world, and if you infiltrate some of the gang territories, you'll find out some of these informations in a data tab where you will get to know which horse is going to be winning for the entire day. So once you get this information, make sure that you guys are reading it. And as the description says, go ahead and bet on the same horse for the entire day, and you can make a full fortune for yourself. And that is one of the reasons why I just absolutely loved, exploring the open world in order to find all of these nitbit informations which could basically help me in order to play all of these mini games. And some of the informations also help around in terms of how some of these open world activities are going to be judged from your character perspective. And now I think it's finally time that we discuss about the most important part, which is gameplay. And in gameplay, I want to divide this whole section into 3 different parts. First one, I'm going to talk about the stealth system in the game, and I've got to say the stealth system in Star Wars Outlaws is absolutely fun. And I've been seeing plenty of reviews for this game out there, and a lot of people actually did find it very annoying or just frustrating for some reason. But that's one of the reasons why you need to make sure that you're playing all of the side quests and also collect some of these modules and gear items, which helps you upgrade your blaster guns and some of the tech items that Kay is going to carry with her. So as you keep upgrading all of these items, what happens is that it's going to enable a lot of different stealth options for you to play the game. So most of the guys that played or reviewed this game either rushed the game all the way and completed it probably in like 20 hours. And that's one of the reasons why I took 40 hours in order to play this game entirely before I put on my reviews. And especially since I did as many side missions as I possibly can, and I also collected some of these rare items which kind of just unlocked a lot of different opportunities for me to try out different types of stealths and takedowns, and also the action sequences were completely different once I kept upgrading my technology as a player. So it is very important, in order to enjoy the game, you will have to fully explore the world and also play side missions and unlock as many items as you can and keep upgrading your character stats. And that's the only way that you're basically going to be enjoying the entire stealth system. Now, in my opinion, since I've enjoyed it, I honestly say that the stealth system was very, very fun. The game also gave you like this objective where you're not supposed to like trigger the alarm. And honestly, sometimes it kind of just felt a little bit tricky since you're not supposed to sound the alarm. So I always made sure that I go ahead and sabotage the alarm first, and after that I just do all the fun stuff in terms of stealth. Especially being an Assassin's Creed fan, I really love stealth, and that's something I really found absolutely fun in this game. I know most of the guys who have reviewed the game, they've said that the stealth system is really bad, but trust me, if you're someone that loves Assassin's Creed games and if you love stealth, this is definitely a game that you guys are gonna absolutely fall in love with. So don't believe all of those reviews. It's very fun. I just love the stealth system in this game. But it's not just about stealth, it's also about action. Now, if you decide to play the game in a full-on aggressive way, that is when the game outshines when it comes to the action perspective. Now, if you try to take the action sequence in a very very slow-paced action. If you're just hiding behind covers and all that, the game of course feels like it's punishing you in some sort of a level, because your blaster guns are definitely a big pain in the ass, because you need to upgrade your blasters or it's constantly going to get overheated and you'll basically have to wait between every single reloads, and you'll basically have to wait for at least like 3 seconds in order for your gun to completely cool down. So that is one of the biggest reasons as to why I said that you need to upgrade all the equipments, and if you're rushing through the game and trying to complete it within 15 to 20 hours, the game is definitely going to feel a lot more punishing and repetitive, but then you will end up not enjoying it. And if you've already pre-ordered this game, my suggestion for you guys is to take your time. We still have a lot of time for other games to come out, maybe Assassin's Creed, so enjoy it as much as you possibly can. And that's one way as to how you can unlock basically everything. And also the outfits in the game has like a bundle option where you can combine like the 3 different outfit legendary pieces, and then it's going to give you like a smart perk which kind of increases your adrenaline, and also it completely removes the cooldown of your weapons. And these things are extremely helpful to make the game feel much more natural and smooth, and your gameplay is also going to be resonating comparing to what kind of gears you basically have. So keeping those things aside, we've spoken about the stealth as well as action, and now comes the puzzle. Now, honestly, the only 2 puzzles that I've seen so far in this game is one, traversing through the world. There are puzzles like how you need to jump, and then you basically need to find your way through where you want to go and how you want to approach this mission. So these are the different kinds of puzzle. It's not very complicated. You'll definitely end up figuring all of these things out as you keep playing the game. And the other 2 puzzles is basically lock picking. It's also not very hard. It's very easy. And also you have another puzzle where you need to hack into the system in order to unlock doors or turn off cameras or shut down all of the turret systems. So in order to do that, you'll basically have to do this puzzle, which is basically a guessing game, and you just got to keep doing it over and over until you guess all the right passwords, and that's pretty much it. So you can either set it to like a number system or a symbol system. I played it with the symbol system because it doesn't really matter, because at the end of the day you will never end up missing any of these puzzles. So it's that freaking easy. So in terms of solving puzzles, I never really had any issues with that. I really enjoyed every part of these puzzles, and it kind of just kept me away from getting frustrated. You know, some games it kind of just gives you these ridiculous puzzles and just takes away the entire gameplay aspect, and that's something I really appreciate, that Massive Studios did take care of not making the puzzles extremely frustrating. And now guys, let's talk about the companion system in this game, which is one of the best parts of Star Wars Outlaws. Now, speaking of companions, how can we forget the little buddy Nix, who's going to be a full-on companion with Kay. And trust me, this game has a very, very good storyline, which is definitely going to be connecting you and your companions together in a proper emotional storyline. So anytime you lose your companion, you're definitely going to feel the void. And as you progress through the storyline, you're going to come across plenty of different companions, and these companions of the game, they're going to become your real close friends. And it's also going to traverse through the storyline, and it'll basically build up this emotional relationship with every single companions that you have. And my favorite so far is the ND5, the robot, as well as a Nix, and you also have like a bomb maker, and basically all the companions are absolutely amazing. And Nix and ND5, they're going to be your special companions out of all the ones that you have so far. So trust me, when it comes to companions, this game is definitely outshined, and I really loved my time. And especially since the game offers companions to just travel along with you in order to complete all the missions. So you have Nix, who's going to be part of all the missions that you're going to play as, and ND5, the robot, is going to be part of some missions that you're going to play as. The game kind of just takes away this lonely feeling, which I don't know if you guys have felt in some games, where you kind of feel very lonely while you're exploring or doing missions. It just feels like the game has abandoned you and the world is against you. That's not the feeling that you're going to be getting in Star Wars Outlaws, especially because you make good friends, and these friends are going to have your back. They're going to combine their forces together, and Nix is one of the cutest companions, and he's definitely going to be of huge help in every single aspect of the game. And I think they've done an incredible job when it comes to the uses of all of these companions, because all the companions are extremely useful in terms of what they can personally do themselves. And the way that Massive Entertainment have built up the character progression, and in terms of how you're going to get attached to these characters, I would honestly give a 10 out of 10 to these guys, because I really felt the emotions and connections with every single character that you meet in the game. Now, speaking of story, how can we of course let that out? And don't worry about it, I'm not going to be sharing any sort of spoilers in this video. I'm just going to give you guys my honest review on this story. It's just going to be a take. It's not going to include any sort of spoilers. Now, one thing I want to mention is that when I got into this game, I honestly expected the story to be extremely bad because, of course, it's Ubisoft, and I really had no expectations for this game. I kind of felt like, the games that I'm going to be very hyped for or excited for this year are only going to be Call of Duty Black Ops 6 and Assassin's Creed Shadows and maybe, some other game that's coming out this year. It seems like Star Wars Outlaws outshined my expectations in all sorts of ways when it comes to storytelling. And I've got to say, Kay is basically a character who's basically a female version of Han Solo. You play as a mercenary who would do anything in order to survive in this world. It doesn't matter if it's just money or if it's just friendship or whatever it is. She would do anything in order to survive and take care of her friends. Now, keeping aside how weird the character model looks, and that's something I really found very disturbing. Now, if you have to speak about the looks of the character, we'll get to that when we discuss about the cons of the game, because the character model, it's just absolutely disastrous. But yeah, speaking of storyline, Kay is basically an incredible character, and the storyline is incredible. And if you're a fan of Han Solo from the original Star Wars movies, I think you guys would absolutely love this game, and you will love the character development, because Kay is pretty much the female version. She will do everything and anything in order to just get paid. And one thing that I noticed that a lot of people have been disappointed in terms of story and how the progression of the game has been going so far is especially because they have been a long-term Star Wars fans, and they've been playing all these Star Wars games which takes place in the Jedi universe. And of course, playing as Jedi is indeed fun, and it's a completely different experience than to playing as a normal human being who's a mercenary, who's trying to survive and do basically everything and anything in order to survive in this rash open world. So we need to keep this in mind, that you're not playing a Jedi survival game. This is not a Jedi game. So don't expect what you've seen with the Jedi games, and don't expect the storyline to go all the way similar to Jedi games. So it's a completely different game. It's a story all about a mercenary who's been abandoned and has no family. So she only has these companions who are so-called friends. And as she progresses through the storyline, she kind of just makes new friends and explores the world, and the storyline progresses. So that is basically what this game is all about. So if you're getting into the game with a completely unbiased opinions or having absolutely no expectations, that is the way to absolutely enjoy this game. If you've already played Star Wars games or Star Wars movies and you kind of just love the way the storyline and the plot twist just goes with the Jedi universe and the Jedi storyline, then you're definitely not going to like it, because it's a completely different universe and the way the storyline takes place is completely different. So as far as what I've seen from most of the reviews, this is one of the biggest things that people have been complaining about, that the story is not as good as the previous Star Wars games that they've played before from EA, because they just fail to understand that it's a story about mercenary. And I think Massive Studios have done an incredible job in terms of how they represented the entire storyline here. That is basically all I can say about the story. I really don't want to be spoiling it, and I've got to say, when you get to the end game, you have a massive surprise. And for all the Jedi fans, I would definitely say that the ending of this game is set to be a massive surprise. I really don't want to spoil it, but in my upcoming videos, I will definitely speak about that stuff. If you're looking for some Jedi storylines and Jedi actions, there is a very, very small teaser in there, and the ending of the game is basically setting itself up for a sequel. So Star Wars Outlaws Part 2 is definitely coming, and that's one thing that has clearly been set up to expectations with this game's ending, and I'm super excited for it as of this moment. And now that we've spoken about all the good things about this game, I think it's fair enough that we also need to discuss about all the bad things, the cons that I really found very annoying in this game, that I think Ubisoft should definitely fix, and some things it's beyond fixing because it is part of the game itself. Now, first thing I want to touch onto is going to be the technical errors. Now, the game that I'm playing is not the final build, and of course there's going to be a day one patch, and that's going to fix most of the issues. And the known issues that they've already mentioned in the embargo rules is exactly what happened with the game as well. So I think that's most probably already fixed with the day one patch. So the technical issues that I came across is that the game kept crashing multiple times. The game crashed like 4 to 5 times for me personally, and it kind of just reset the entire mission that I was trying to do. And one very extremely annoying thing about this game was that the end cutscene, which absolutely froze. Now, I completed the entire game, and the final ending cutscene was completely frozen, and the only thing that I could do is basically just skip the cutscene. And when I did it, I completely lost the entire cutscene, and the credits started rolling, and then we have like a post-credit scene that comes up, and I was very disappointed that I couldn't really see what happens at the end of the storyline. But luckily there was a save which took me all the way back in order to replay the entire cutscene, and I finally got to know what happens at the the ending. And if there was no save, I think I would be really mad because I played the entire game just to not even know what happens in the end. Because cutscenes are, of course, extremely important. And the story's ending was absolutely fantastic, and I think every single one of you guys should definitely go ahead and try this game out. Now that's done with the technical cons that we had in the game, and now comes something that Ubisoft can never fix, and it might be due to some of the expectations that I had, and that's because the game is an open world game, which means that I was expecting that I could do a lot more than what the game offers, such as the exploration part. You only have the speeder bike which you can use in order to traverse through the open world, so there is literally no other vehicles apart from this, where you can only explore the outer space. But then exploration inside the open world, you only have to run or walk, or you can use the speeder. And when I got into the game, I honestly was expecting that maybe we might get like different mounts. Maybe you could mount some of the animals in the game. Like you will come across so many stormtroopers and so many different characters mounting so many different animals, and they use it as a way of transportation. And that's something I was kind of expecting. And I was also hoping that as I keep progressing through the game, maybe I'll end up finding more vehicles that I can unlock or use, or maybe even steal from some of these NPCs, but that was not the case as well. So you only need to use your own speeder, and it's very annoying at this point. And I think that Ubisoft should have done a better job in terms of making an open world game and also giving a lot of options as to how players want to traverse the map by making multiple vehicle options available. And I think that's one of the biggest things that kind of just ticked me off. And this might be a huge con for you guys as well, or maybe not. It's completely up to your own personal opinions, I guess. But yeah, that's my opinion here. I did not find that very helpful. And apart from this, the open world is nonetheless very, very beautiful. But if you know some games, when you finish the main storyline, it just kind of feels like the entire world is empty and it's just pointless to even go ahead and explore the open world. I would say Star Wars Outlaws kind of feels exactly the same. Once you finish the main storyline of the game, it just didn't really catch my attention in order to go ahead and free roam or do a couple of side missions. The whole game that I played and the exploration and the side missions that I did was only because the story kept me interesting. So once the story ended, there was really nothing in the world for me to go ahead and explore or enjoy. The only thing that I would honestly go back for is the card game, which I really ended up loving. I literally spent like 5 to 6 hours just playing this card game. So my 40 hours of playtime consists of at least 6 hours of playing these card games and all of these other mini games. So mini games really takes up a lot of time, and it kind of is very enjoyable in this game as well. So that's one con that I kind of found, that you really don't find any purpose in order to explore the game or do anything in the open world other than the storyline. You know, some games, it kind of just makes you feel like that. It's very much the same with Star Wars Outlaws. But yeah, apart from this, we know Ubisoft sucks when it comes to DEI stuff. They've always been including all this bullshit stuff. But there's one thing I came across in this game which really made me laugh out so loud, because there was this one mission where Kay meets one of these Imperial officers who is a female character, and you can clearly see that she's a female character, but then Kay mispronounces and identifies this individual as a he, which at the moment I just felt like it's very funny. You know, I started laughing out, and I think it could be a technical error or maybe something that Ubisoft purposefully just added into the game, but it was just very hilarious in my opinion. And I think if Ubisoft is watching this, you know, that's one part that you guys really need to fix if you think that's like something that you guys really did not intend to do.
You wouldn't, sir. Command wants to keep it quiet. This scum is a defector from Akiva. He was caught leaking classified Viper droid technology to the rebels.
A traitor, huh? I should execute you myself.
Oh yeah, he deserves it, but they want to torture him and all that, sir. Really make him suffer.
Fine. Proceed, trooper.
But yeah, overall, I did enjoy this game. It's an excellent game. And my final verdict and score for Star Wars Outlaw is going to be a solid 8.5 out of 10, which is very good score. Now, I don't care what others have rated this game. I'm just giving my honest opinions and my honest reviews on the game from my personal experience of playing the game and how well I enjoyed every bit of this game. And before you go ahead and say some bullshit in the comments like Ubisoft paid him, that's not the case. Ubisoft never paid me. I'm not a Ubisoft Ubisoft shield. And if you've seen my past videos, I've been against Ubisoft most of the time. So that basically gives you guys an idea of what this game is all about. So let me know in the comments down below, are you guys going to be playing it? And what do you guys feel about all the gameplays that you've seen so far? Will you get the game after this review, or will you not get the game? Whatever your opinion is, let me know down below in the comments. I would love to go ahead, read them, reply to as many of you guys as I possibly can. And if you guys want to stay updated every single day with all the latest and the greatest information, news, updates, gameplays, trailers, reveals, and leaks, and basically every single thing that you guys need about upcoming games is going to be available first on my channel. So make sure to go ahead, subscribe, turn the notifications on. It's absolutely free, of course. You guys don't have to pay a dime in order to get subscribed. Now, before we end this video, a very huge thanks to Ubisoft for sending in the review codes. I really enjoyed the game. Thank you guys so much. Thanks to Massive Entertainment as well for incredible game. You guys have definitely exceeded my expectations. Adios, amigos.